Well, did Muslim jurists contribute to the universal development or concept of legal thought?
Of course, I think they were pioneers, and the scholars of law, of comparative law, in different countries and nationalities in the modern times, Germans, French, Italians, Americans, they admitted the contribution of the Muslim legal scholars in areas like, for example, what is known now, because for a long time, according to the Roman law, the thing is either allowed or prohibited. It is either your right or your obligation. But to find an area between your right and abusing this right or misusing this right, it took some time until this was admitted to be illegal, the same as anything which is not your right is illegal. So, for example, if a person he is in authority and he does something which superficially or legally is legal, but you find that it is within his jurisdiction, within his rights, but it is really a misuse of this right. He appoints one of his favorite people or one of his relatives in a job according to his authority and within all laws. But you know that, for example, the announcement for this job was made in a way to make this person, favorite person or relative or this close person, the most beneficial of this announcement. You cannot seize here something wrong exactly against this person, but it is just a misuse of his power in trying to hide something, to make the announcement in a certain way, in certain newspapers, so that only this person or certain persons can benefit from it. Also, with regard to the civil law, not only the administrative law, suppose that now there is a problem. Suppose a person is killing a person and another person is just looking to them and he didn't participate in the killing. But he could prevent this killing and he didn't. Most of criminal laws say, well, you cannot make him a defendant, you cannot make him have any responsibility because he didn't do anything. This responsibility by refrainment from doing something to stop the harm which will be inflicted on another person is a responsibility. And the Muslim jurists say, definitely, even in the modern law, it is a civil responsibility. You can ask this person for damages, but can you put him in jail? That is the point. Muslim lawyers dealt with all this before the European law, which was, of course, influenced by the Roman law, that the thing either it is allowed or not allowed, but there is no area between them. You find this in the Islamic law very clear. Also, the unexpected circumstances in carrying out any law, any contract. We write the contract for 10 years, for 5 years, and we could not anticipate certain things, and these things happen. They cannot be raised to be a force majeure, a great thing that can stop the thing, but in the same time they will affect the ability of a certain party in the contract to carry out his responsibilities or her responsibilities. All this was considered very well, and it is admitted by the lawyers of all world.
Well, exactly how much of the influence of Sharia is recognized and respected by the world community?
Well, we have in conferences always representatives of Islamic law who had papers and participated in the discussion. And there are two outstanding conferences of comparative law which were known to make a clear and sharp and elaborated acknowledgement and recognition of Sharia. One was in The Hague in Holland in 1937. And they pointed out not only the capability and the efficiency of Sharia historically, but its ability to, its dynamism to cope with emerging and developing circumstances. And there is a more recent conference in Paris in 1950 or 1951, which also acknowledged how can Sharia cover and cope and respond to the emerging circumstances. And it is dynamic and flexible and capable, not less than any modern law.
When it comes to many minds, including Muslim minds, when Sharia is mentioned, it's usually limited to stating certain penalties for certain crimes like theft and adultery. Can you explain to what extent Sharia is as a comprehensive legal system which covers the various avenues known as modern law?
Yes, Sharia covers, as I said, the constitutional law, the relation between the ruler and the ruled, and the right of the people to choose their ruler, the right of the people to participate in making the policies. This is the principle which is known according to the Quran as Shura, that means participation in making the policy of the state through mutual discussion between the rulers and the ruled. Administrative law, you find the clear indication about that the ruler, there is a body which seizes the authority, not individuals, not persons. So there is no place for despotism. We should have certain body, which is a team of people, distributing the authority among them. So the principle of distribution of authority, the principle of decentralization, it was applied very well during the early caliphs. Even they had a universal state. They prefer, of course, to centralize the power, not to concentrate all the power in the capital. You have labor law or labor principles, legal principles related to the relation between the employer and the employees with regard to the nature of work, conditions of work, wages, social security, when the person becomes old or sick and cannot work, or unemployed. We have also international law dealing with peace, with war, and how war should be conducted, what are the rights of prisoners of war, and how speedy they should be released and returned to their places, and their rights, of course, the rights of political asylum. Any person can come and asks for asylum should be given this asylum. Many things like this you find Sharia is covering all this in its general principles and in its details through the Quran, through the Sunnah, and through the juristic elaboration.